Okay. Are we ready?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hi guys! Welcome to another episode of the Pony Podcast. This episode, because it's Christmas and a time of family, and you guys are kind of like our family now, we thought you should learn a little more about us.
We also didn't know what else to tell you because it's Christmas and we didn't have anything else planned.
Maybe next year we could get the Donkey Sanctuary on.
Oh yeah, that would be cute.
For Christmas, that would be really cute.
Yeah, that would be really cute. Okay. Anyway.
So you've probably seen lots of photos about the year on our social media, so you probably know a little bit about us from that. But we thought we should talk a little bit about our background in horses and
why we feel justified in talking to you guys about stuff.
Yeah, and also maybe as though we were interviewing ourselves.
Yeah. Oh, scary.
So I've got the questions, so I can start.
Oh, no.
So Tess, when did you start riding? As in, sat on a pony versus having some lessons?
Oh, I was first sat on a pony, barely able to hold my head up, I think. So Mum always had horses, and she only stopped riding when she was pregnant, when she had to duct tape her breeches closed because she could no longer... Or she stopped being able to duct tape her breeches closed. And then pretty much, I think she was back in a saddle in not very long at all. And then we were kind of plonked on board and walked around the field or whatever. And then my first pony was... my older brother had a pony. Mm-hmm. So I must have been given that to sit on at 18 months too. Old enough to balance myself. And then that was it. Off you go.
Do you remember anything about it?
The first pony, he was an absolute saint. He was 40.
Oh.
And he kept losing his teeth, so we had to give him really, really sloppy sugar beet that he could drink. I've still got one of his teeth, because he lost one. Still got it. Kept that. I think somewhere. Must have it somewhere. And yeah, he was just an absolute legend. Apart from there was only one of him, so every time we went to camp, he was Guy's pony, and I had to borrow one. And I would frequently be put on a pony that no one really had because it was so naughty. So I remember one year that I had borrowed one called Minnie Mouse, and it kept rolling all the time.
Classic.
Yeah, but with no warning, would just drop immediately, and I'd have to kind of launch myself off before I could get rolled over. Obviously didn't put me off, did it?
No.
And when do you first remember starting riding?
I vaguely remember when we lived in London.
Yeah.
I sat on a pony at a farm or something. But it wasn't until we moved.
When you were townies.
When we moved, Mum, I think, had seen it was the local farm down the road.
Yeah.
She'd heard some people had moved down from Yorkshire with some ponies and they had a Shetland. So she investigated whether we could ride. Yeah. I think I must have been 6. Aww. And she took me along and she tacked this pony up, and he was a little miniature Shetland called Willie. And and then whenever she had time, she'd send them a text and be like, "Can we come and ride?" And she'd take me out of a Hacks and the lead rein, and they had another. Then eventually they kind of got more ponies, and there was a bigger one, and I'd ride that, and I remember sort of enjoying it, but also falling off a lot and not really enjoying that bit.
No, I lie. The first pony I learned to ride wasn't Ari at all. It was Fiona Foraker, who is an absolute stalwart of our pony club, and she's a B scorer as well. I do a bit of scoring with her, and she had a Shetland pony called Taffy, and the entire pony club, from what I know, learned to ride on Taffy. Everyone did. He was very naughty, really dumped us a lot, but everyone learned to ride on Taffy, and he didn't die that long ago. He died at I think he must have been 30 or something, some ridiculous age, and we all learned to ride on him. And it was the same thing where Mum had sourced this pony, and we'd go and tack him up and all of that. Your mum rode though, didn't she?
Yeah, she did. She had some horses. She went to America for a bit with work, and that's where she had 2 horses.
Yeah.
One had been, I think, long listed the American team for the Olympics, but had couldn't deal with the drops.
Yeah.
So she'd got him, and she had another one that was a little quarter horse.
Yeah.
That she got to play with, and because she was stationed in America for her job, she had earning lots of money, and so she could afford to have them on a really nice barn and full livery. And I think she said she competed the equivalent of intermediate.
Yeah.
But then she came back to the UK to get married.
Yeah.
And had to leave her ponies behind.
God, boys ruin everything.
Yeah. So she is sort of horsey.
Yeah.
But the problem was when I eventually got my first pony, after lots of begging, she kept having to go to our local tack shop and be like, so 20 years ago, when I used to ride, we had something that was called this and it did this. What do we use now?
Yeah. We've still got all of that stuff in the garage because Mum never threw her stuff away. Like we've still got saddles that when I was looking for a dressage saddle for Piglet, because my previous dressage saddle didn't fit her, Mum went, oh, well, you can use mine. That's fine. Mm-hmm. Mum's, honestly, it would be more comfortable having a block of wood on her back. Like, I mean, I was like, I'm not sitting in it. And Mum was like, well, it doesn't matter what you think. And I was like, I'm not putting something that hard on my horse's back when buying a new saddle because they're ancient and the leather is just like rock solid. Like saddles have come on so far. I went through all of Mum's stuff a while ago, and there's stuff that I don't even know what it does. No idea. I'd pick it up and be like, is this like a side rein, or does it go somewhere else? And Mum didn't know either, and we were just kind of like, where have you got this from? Like, who's made this for you?
So when do you remember, like, learning, like, actually learning stuff? Not just, like, going to do ponies and being like, it's a pony and I can brush it.
I remember my brother got to learn at Wellington, and I was very jealous because I wasn't allowed lessons at Wellington. Don't know why. Don't know where that came in. But Guy was allowed to join like the Wellington Pony Club and stuff. I was not. I remember my first pony club lesson. Mm-hmm. I remember we had to do half scissors and thread the needle and stuff, and I didn't know how to do that. I remember being really, really shy because I didn't know how to do it. But there was one girl who I made friends with who I do still know to this day. And I remember being like, oh, it's okay because I've made friends with her, so it's okay. And then I think Mum realised that we should probably learn some things before we go. So we then had lessons with Claire Turner.
Oh yeah.
And Claire would come and she was Claire Knoll, but Claire Turner. And she would come and give me lessons here. But I had a really, really naughty pony. So we've got a 20 by 60 school, and there's a field at one end and jumps at the other. And there was a horse in the field that would gallop up and down the fence if you were in there. And every time he galloped up and down the fence, I would fall off. So I remember figuring that if I cut the end of the school off, Claire wouldn't be able to tell because she was looking at it horizontally, so she couldn't tell where I in my brain was like, she can't tell where I'm going across the school as long as she sees me go up and then go across the school and then come back. Obviously now realise you can see that. You can see that. But I remember I basically ended up doing a 20-metre circle around her in the middle of the school because I wouldn't go at either end. But yeah, that's kind of the first time I remember like actually learning stuff. Were you at a riding school?
Yeah.
Oh.
So it was like we kind of did borrow the pony for a bit, and it would be like months before I sat on a pony, and then months, and then I sat again. And we teamed up with some friends that were at school with us to go and have group lessons at Park Farm.
Aww.
So we were there for about a year, and I did like pony days and things. And then there was a school 5 minutes down the road from us, Severals, that got taken onto new management, and Mum was like, well, that's closer and it looks better than it did, so let's go there. And I learnt to ride there for about 2 years, and it had the most amazing hacking. So I learnt to hack because when I was like, don't want to go no spaces, nope.
Yeah, I was very much did not want to be in a field without fencing everywhere. And
that's what I think sparked my love of pony care.
Oh right.
Because I remember I'd been having lessons, I think it must have been 6 months, and she was like, do you want to come down on a Saturday morning? And I was like, what do you do on a Saturday morning? And she's like, oh, you just get to spend all day with the ponies and you can help out with the yard. And I was
She's good at marketing.
Sure. What time? And 7:30, and my dad was like, oh, that's so early on a Saturday. So anyway, I used to go down on a Saturday. And it started not just a Saturday. I started on a Saturday. And I'd go down, I'd start in the morning, we'd muck out, and we'd do everything, we'd tap the ponies up, we'd have our lesson at lunchtime, and then it started to be holidays. Yeah. And then it would be Saturdays and Sundays. Yeah. And I was just living there. And she got to the point where there were all these parents around that send their kids to ride. And they'd be like, oh, can my kid come and help with their friend who knows nothing about horses? And it'd be like free childcare. Yeah. So she was like, right, this has got to stop. and she started doing stable management courses where you had to learn points of the horse, how to groom, paddocks and stuff. And it was so cool. And I was like, oh, I'm learning stuff. This is great. I love all this. And I think that's where it came from. And then she did an advanced stable management course a couple of years later. And that was like all the bones and things. Goodness. So I think that's why when I came to do my AH, it wasn't that bad because I joined the pony club when I was 12.
Yeah.
And before I was 12, I'd done
bones and stuff. Oh wow! Okay, so I remember when we did our AH and all the training together, which is when we first properly met, and I remember all of us being like doing the classic before an exam, like, oh, I'm gonna fail, oh, I'm gonna fail, oh, I'm gonna fail, and you were like, oh, I'm definitely gonna fail as well, and all of us there were 11 of us, all of us in unison going, shut up, Alex, you're not going to fail, and you were like, no, I haven't done any work, and we were like, shut up, Alex.
Well, because when I was at the riding school, like, I was there for 2 years, and then after 2 years, my parents are a bit like, I think like this might be something she's serious about. Like, I don't think she's gonna give it up. Yeah. Maybe we should try and find her a pony. So we went pony hunting. Yeah. And Mum gave me the budget, and I was printing off adverts. When I was told I'd get a pony, I was so excited. Printing off adverts, like, what's this? And she'd be like, that's in Scotland, no. And eventually we found this pony, and he was 5 minutes down the road. Yeah. And he was a bit like alert on his toes, a bit sharp. And anyway, I thought he was really cute, and Mum decided to buy him. Okay. And he had a few problems. Yeah. His feet weren't in great shape, and his back was really sore because the saddle they had in would have fitted a 16.2. Oh. And they were like, we bought it in the sale at McNeil's. It's great, isn't it? It's a really nice saddle. And it was like, it's not. And that was Thunder.
Oh, and you still got him.
Still got him. Yeah.
We didn't buy any ponies. So my first pony was like someone Trisha knew, someone a friend knew. The second one was Trisha's, which was this little pony that this friend of ours had bought out of a field. It'd been backed and broken, and then ridden. It had been sat by adults a couple of times, and that was it. And then Trisha sat on it a couple of times and was like, I'm sure it'll be fine, and shipped it off to me. It was not. It was not fine. It was horrible. Well, he was a cheeky monkey, shall we say. And I had to ride it side saddle for a year because I couldn't stay on it any other way. I feel like I've told that story before. Very, very naughty. And then all the rest of them, I wasn't trusted to actually find a horse for myself until Piglet. And I did very well. Can we just put it out there? Found myself an absolute cracker. But yeah, until then, I was not allowed to look. Like, all of the horses we had were like through friends, or the only one we actually actively went out and bought was the one before Piglet, which Meryl, the friend of mine who I bought Piglet through, Meryl found for us. And we bought from Ginny Howe, who we were out in Po with, who I'm still good friends with. This is why, honestly, the friends you make from just like meeting them once with the horses. Yeah, we're still very good friends with Ginny. I ended up working for Ginny when I was at uni. Like, just from having bought one horse off her.
Talking about people that you meet. Yeah. So you went to interview Izzy the vet.
Yeah.
I was at school with her.
Yeah.
And I joined the pony club for the first time when I was 11.
Yeah.
I'd had my pony, I think, 6 months.
Yeah.
And she'd be like, you have to join the HH, you have to join the HH. I'm in the HH, and it'd be really cool because we'd go to things together. And I was like, okay, Mum, we're pony club. And she was like, fine. And I was looking at the website, and I came back to school and I was like, Izzy, what's a rally? Aww. And she was like, it's like a lesson. And I was like, yeah, but what do you do? And she was like, you have a lesson. And I was like, why don't they call them lessons?
I remember being really, really did not want to go to a rally. Really did not want to at all. Did not want to go to a rally because I thought a rally was like a competition. Because in my brain I'd been like, the only other rally I knew was like rally cars. And I was like, don't want to do that with my pony because my pony was very naughty. Did not want to do that with my pony at all. And yeah, did not want to go to rallies. And it was embarrassingly long before I clocked that it was just a lesson. And like, having been to rallies, and I did not clock for a long time that what Mum said meant when she said rally was actually just a lesson.
So I remember going back to Izzy as well. I remember I did my C test with Izzy.
Yeah.
And I'd not been to Penny Club very long, and Mum was adamant I was doing a test, and it was going to be my C test, because at that time you could just go straight in at any test. And they were like, we've never seen her ride. No, she can't do a C test. Yeah. And Mum was like, look, she'd come to a rally and they were like, fine, she's okay, she can do it. So I came along to my first training and I was there with all these people that had been in Pony Club for years and we didn't know anyone.
Yeah.
And I was really nervous and I was like, I don't know if I'm good enough.
Yeah.
And the first thing we did was flat work.
Okay.
And because I've been from a riding school, my flat work was quite good.
Yeah.
And I was there with people that were like, what's a trotting diagonal? And what's a serpentine? And I was like, oh, I know things, we're all good. And like, relax, and it was fine, we did some training. And then we went out to do cross country and I was like, I've never done cross country before.
Yeah.
This is not cool. This is not okay. And
I
was like, I don't know.
I'm in danger.
And so, yeah, it was quite funny because there was like me and doing all that, and then everyone else that kind of went hunting was like, we'll jump whatever cross country, and I was like, gonna die. And then the other funny thing that happened,
just fully accepting death.
Yeah.
This is how I die.
And then we went to do pony care.
Yeah.
And it was.
And you were back in happy place.
I was back in happy place, and I was doing points of the horse quite happily, and like doing all the feeds quite happily, and there were people there like, I didn't know this, and I was like, how do you not know this? Like, you have your own ponies.
I was honestly really like, because I'm quite good at just remembering and regurgitating information, especially when it's not that detailed. I was always the person who never had to do any work for any of the tests at all. BE test was the first one I ever did any sort of form of revision for, and it was like I went to the trainings, and the trainings were more in deep depth revision. The first time I actually worried about it was AH, when I realised that you knew everything and I really did not know very much, and actually me being able to, chat, give it all the chat was maybe not going to work for me this time. Normally that worked very well, and I've done very well on what my boss calls, I've got the spiel, which is the nicest way of saying I'm full of rubbish that I've ever heard. It's very true. I'm quite good at chatting the spiel. And yeah, AH was the first time I was like, maybe this isn't going to work. Maybe I need to do some actual work. Don't think I ever did, but I remember distinctly having that thought process of, oh God, oh no.
So listeners will have seen our decade photo challenge.
Yeah.
What were you doing in 2010?
2010, horsewise? 2010.
Yes, horsewise.
It was second year of GCSEs, so I was going into year 10, coming out of year 9. Yeah?
Yeah.
Because I'm younger than you.
Yeah.
Thanks.
I thought you were a year ahead.
No, I was going into year 10. Horsewise, I had, the first horse we ever bought was the pony that we had, a grey Connemara, which is, now we still know where he is now. He was the first horse we ever bought. We bought him from a family that we knew through my dressage trainer. So his dressage was brilliant. And I remember trying him. And when we tried him, I was trotting around, and I went across the diagonal, and he was bored, so did medium trot across the diagonal, and that was it. I was sold. I thought it was the best thing that ever happened to me. Absolutely loved it. And to this day, medium trot is one of my favourite movements to ride because it's just the best. And so we bought him, and he was lovely, and I loved him. And then we discovered that he did not like show jumping. Was not good at, if you didn't have him exactly right to a fence, wasn't jumping it. No. Would maybe up till 80. After that, no, not jumping it. So 2010 was the last year I had him, and I spent a year either winning or getting eliminated show jumping, one of the two. It was there was nothing, no in between. It was, if I got through the show jumping, then I won, and more often than not, I didn't. There's one of the photos I sent you. It's like a really nice photo of him jumping a triple bar, and I was like, don't be fooled. The next fence we got eliminated at. And I think we got eliminated, and then as we turned round, my saddle started slipping, because it had obviously got dislodged, and I hadn't done my girth up. So as he dogged it at this fence, my saddle had started slipping, and he turned round, and it started slipping even more. So not only had I got eliminated, but I was then dumped, because the saddle slipped all the way around, and he pissed off, and he galloped off to the entrance with me sat on the floor, more angry than I think I've ever been in my whole entire life. So, I mean, if anyone's going through that at the moment, I can completely relate. It was horrible, just awful, truly awful. I won some good competitions though. The couple of times, how many times did I get through the show jumping that year? Once at Tenantry, my first pony club intermediate. My first 100. Once got through the show jumping there and came second. once at Hambledon, and I won a photo shoot. It was very exciting. And there was somewhere else where I won. Not areas, got eliminated there. Can't remember. There was one other place where I got through. Everywhere else I got eliminated. Our team manager, I mean, her heart broke for me every time. Like every time I get eliminated show jumping. Every time. Oh no, I wasn't eliminated. I didn't get eliminated at areas. I got 2 stops and a pole because I managed to drag him round. And my dressage judge was standing outside the show jumping as I came out. And as I came out, I remember her going, I think I was your dressage judge and you really need to work on the strength of your canter. And I was like, yes, thank you. So much for that unsolicited piece of advice. I do think she gave me a 10 for my hold in my dressage test though. So, it's all right. What were you doing in 2010?
2010, I was an endurance rider. I had Maria, but I don't think I'd taken her to any competitions because Cheryl was still schooling.
Yeah.
And 2010 was the first year, so my mum found out there was this competition in Pony Club called the Quiz in the Horse and Pony Care.
Yeah.
And she decided it was really cool and she was going to put a team in because she did the achievement badges. And she ran a training and 4 of us turned up.
Yeah.
So she was like, you're the right ages. Yours our team. It's our team. So we turned up with 2 teams to areas. And the area rep was like, oh, it's so nice to see the HH have brought 2 teams this year. We won it. We won the areas. And
your mum is the sort of person where I would imagine if your mum sets her mind to you're going to be training for this, you're going to win.
Yeah. So we won that, and then we went to nationals, and we were just so excited we got to nationals because we were like, I can't believe it, and it's a really big deal, and there's all these teams, and we knew who was really good, and so we just didn't have any expectations at all, and we came 6th, and we were like, wow. And then we looked back and we were like, oh, the best an Area 13 team has ever done in the past is 7th.
Ooh.
So we were already like above them. We were like, right, we're going to come back and win it. And it took us 3 more years and then we did. But, 2 more years than we did. But, so that was quite cool. We did that 2010. And then I decided I had this really cool pony, Thunder.
Yeah.
And I hadn't at this point completed an event, ever.
Yeah.
No height, nothing. I got eliminated cross country.
Yeah.
I fell off. It was bad. And
cross country's a thing. You did not like cross country to start off with?
Yeah. Well, I'd never done it, so it was like, I think I'd had like 2 rallies cross country and it was not going to happen. So we decided, he's half Arab.
Yeah.
And Suz, who we've had on, she ran a taster day for endurance the year before.
Yeah.
And she was like, oh yeah, you should definitely have a go at endurance. It's great fun. And he loved it. And all you had to do to qualify for champs was do 3 rides at 30 kilometres and get within certain speed and heart rate.
Yeah.
That was all you had to do. So I went away for a month in the summer. So we got them all in before. And he banged in like grade 1s, winning, whatever. Yeah. Went up to the nationals, which were at Kiso in Bedfordshire. Yeah. And no expectations again. And we had him out. It's our first day away, so it was really exciting. Yeah. And this man came up to me when we'd unloaded him, being like, that's a fit pony. And I was like, thank you very much. I didn't know he was the endurance chairman. Okay. So that was fun. And,
good start. Solid start.
Yeah. And anyway, we vetted him and we got going and he had a great time. He loved it. Like, if there was a horse in the distance, he'd catch up and he'd just go and go and go and go and go. And like, his heart was just like in it and he was so cool. And we won.
Yeah. Oh, the whole thing?
We won, the senior novice endurance champs. So,
I mean, it's still quite a big deal.
Yeah, so the over 16 at 30 kilometres.
Oh, that's so good.
And there was 1 point in it because he came in with a heart rate of 39 and 10.5 kilometres an hour. And then the next one down came in with a heart rate of 40 and over 10 kilometres an hour. So there was like, I was on 3 points and she was on 4. Yeah. And so I had the lowest score and I won.
Oh, that's so cool.
And it was so cool. And the best part of it was, there's this photo that I think I've put up on the Decade Challenge. Yeah. The Pony Club used that endurance photo for like 5 years afterwards as their face of endurance.
With the turquoise head colour.
Yeah, the turquoise bridle.
Oh, the turquoise bridle.
Yeah.
That's
and
so
then,
cute.
Even when that got too old, there was a photo. I took him to the intermediate endurance champs and it didn't end well. Yeah. I think it was in 2013. And they used that as well. So the same pony and rider in front of the castle of endurance.
So fit. It's so fit.
So yeah, that's what I was doing in 2010.
Oh my god.
So if someone had told you in 2010 what you'd be doing now in 2019, what would you have said?
There's absolutely no way I would have believed it. Because I would have been because I was getting eliminated a lot. So if someone had been like, oh yeah, in 10 years' time you'll have gone around your first advance, I would have been like, no. Also, I was a really wussy child. Very, very wussy. Was like jumping. Cross country I could get along with because I could go fast, so I didn't have to be right. I could just be fast, like I could just kick at a fence, and you didn't really have to think too much about it. But the show jumping scared the living daylights out of me, like fully terrified. And because the horse was such hard work, I'd be more tired after show jumping than I would after cross country because he was such hard work. I'd regularly have asthma attacks halfway around a show jumping course, like fully terrified. So if someone had like shown me an advanced fence and been like, "You'll jump that," absolutely. Like I probably would have quit then and there just to make sure that I didn't. But yeah, just I don't think I could have got my head around everything that would have changed. Like even like non-horsey stuff, like doing a degree and stuff like that. I don't think I could have. I still wanted to be a vet then, but I don't think I really clocked what being a vet would actually involve. So I was just like, yeah, I'll go and do that. Yeah, I don't think I could have got my head around. Yeah, and it's like for anyone listening, I think we sound really old. I mean, think back 5 years and think how young you seem. Like just so young. Just it's such a different place in such a different place in life. Like still being at school. Like imagine still being at school.
Yeah.
Oh, it's weird. Like so weird. I just remember being so young. I also remember I remember thinking I was really happy, and I don't think I'm nowhere near as happy as I am now.
That's good.
Do you not find?
Yeah.
When you look back and you're like, things didn't seem so bad, but looking back,
I
was not happy.
I think the difference is like not knowing what you want to do, and just kind of doing what you're sort of told to do, of like the expectation.
I always thought I knew though.
Yeah, me too.
I always thought I knew, and man, was I wrong? Was I wrong?
Yeah. I think if someone had said to me what I was doing now, I'd have like just been like, okay, but how? Because I was that like not very brave cross country.
Yeah.
But I respected authority enough that if an instructor told me to jump it, I would do it.
Yeah.
And I remember one camp, the vet had forgotten to stamp Thunder's passport.
I would do it crying.
So Cheryl lent me this 5-year-old Connemara that she had in, and he was so cool cross country that you just kind of pointed him. And because she knew him and she was my instructor for the week, she'd be like, "Who's jumping this?" And I'd keep really quiet because I'd be like, "It's really, really big and I might die." And she was like, "So you and Alex," and I'd be like, "I can't." And she's like, "You're jumping it." And I'd be like, "Okay," and I'd come towards it like my eyes shut and be like, "Oh, we're still in one piece. Oh, we're fine. Okay."
one of the best things I learned is if there's a jump that really scares you, if you look in the distance above it, then your peripheral vision can kind of work out where it is. And at that point, for me, I was going to be wrong to it anyway, so it didn't matter if I saw the stride wrong. So if you look above it, your peripheral vision can work out where it is, and you're not looking at it, so it kind of doesn't exist. And if you keep your eyes up, you're in a good body position anyway. And that was quite a good learning curve. Just don't look at it, and you'll be fine. Just keep kicking, don't look at it.
Yeah, I think also, like, I had no comprehension of what the different heights meant.
Yeah.
Because I went from, like, 2'3" 1 year, to 2'6" the next year, to 2'9" the one after. I was like, well, if I keep going up however many years, in 3 years' time I'll be at badminton, easy peasy. Had no comprehension of what that actually meant.
I had whatever, because when we started, they were still doing in feet and inches. So first 2 foot was okay, but anything above 2'3" was unimaginably big. And then I started doing 2 foot to 2'3s.
2'3" for anyone listening is the equivalent of
50?
60 centimetres.
60? Yeah, anything above that, unimaginably big. And then I started doing 2 foot to 2'3", and then 2'6" was unimaginably big. And they moved over to meters and centimetres when I was doing 3 foot to 3'3". I think I did one 3'3" to 3'6", and that was, I was going some. But I never actually did 3'6" to 3'9". So 3'6" to 3'9" to me still sounds unimaginably horrifically big, but it's only 110, 115. Yeah. And that was a couple of levels ago. So, but it still sounds just unjumpably big. Unjumpably big.
Also, like, if someone had said to me that I'd had my A test, I'd be like, huh? Because I remember when I did my C test, I looked at the syllabuses and was just like looking through all of them to see what you had to do. Yeah. And I remember reading the A test one and being like, you can do that. Like, someone's good enough, they can do that. Like, how? But obviously they're really, really good, so only really, really good people get their A test. And then looking back on it now, I'm like, oh, I've got it. Wow.
I never see the syllabus. I only ever heard about the syllabus through like rumours. So I remember it being rumoured that at your A test you had to load a horse all by yourself, because at B test you had to be able to do everything, but at A test you had to be able to do everything by yourself. and that being a thing, and you had to open and close gates, and you had to do it all the correct way. And if someone had said you had to be able to like levitate your horse, I wouldn't believe them. And I remember doing either C plus or B. Must have been C plus. And we all just passed, and we were all very excited. And someone went, "Oh, are you going to go and do your B?" And I went, "Yeah," because why not, right? Everyone was going to do their B. And about half of the people went, "No, I don't want to do my B." And I'd already answered, so I was like, "Oh, maybe none of us are going to do our B," because I couldn't comprehend doing it by myself. Just if the group was doing it, I would do it. And then half of us went on and did our B, and someone at the end was like, "Oh, are you going to go and do your AH?" And I went, "Yeah," because I figured the whole group would do it. And then everyone else went, no, I'm not going to do my AH. And I was like, "Oh, we're not all doing it together." Oh. And then I went to my first AH training because my friend was doing her AH, and I'd agreed to go with her as moral support. And then she didn't go. Lucy Cheatham, if you're listening. She bailed that night, so I ended up going by myself to Kathy Merrick's, not knowing anyone, and being sat at training being like, well, it doesn't matter because I'm not doing my AH. I was here as moral support, and then turns out I'm not needed as moral support because the girl I was going with hasn't come. And then I knew some of the answers, even though I hadn't gone to the training, and I wasn't doing my test, so it didn't matter. And then Kathy Merrick was like, "Oh, so you're doing your AH test then?" And I was like, no. And she was like, "Oh, well, you can go to the test day and go as a gopher.
Yeah.
And you can go and be legged up." And I was like, no, I'll go and do that. And then I went down to talk to Claire Turner, and she went, "So you're doing your AH?" And I was like, "Oh, no, I'm just going as a gopher." And she went, "Don't be so ridiculous, you're doing your AH." So I did my AH, and then I passed that, and they were like, "So you're going to go and do your A?" And I was like, "Yeah." No.
She did that to me as well.
Yeah.
So I had to do 4 weeks of fieldwork as part of my degree, and I was doing it on the Dorset coast. And before then, I'd qualified for University Nationals, and it was a week into my fieldwork, and I was like, I can't not ride for a week and then go all the way to Hull to compete in Nationals. Like I'm gonna fail. So I chatted to Hannah, who I was riding for at the time, who we stayed with when we were at Burley, and she's like, "Oh, I know someone that lives in Dorset. Let me get in contact." And it was Claire.
Yeah.
And so I rocked up, and she phoned me up. She's like, "So you're coming for A test training?" And I was like, "What?"
No.
And I was like, "Yes." And then I hadn't even entered my head that I was going to do my A test. I was sort of thought about it vaguely, but I hadn't considered it. And
she's good at press ganging.
Yeah,
that's what it is.
But it was more like, you could do it. And so my first time I was there, she was chatting away to me, and she basically was like, "Oh, I know someone that's doing their A test as well, so they can come and ride with you," and they're doing their test. And it was the year you passed. Yeah. And so she was at yours at Pip Kirby. Yeah. And she came back and was like, "Oh, I failed." And I was like, "Oh." And then Claire was like, No, you should take it this year.
She was doing finals at the same time.
Yeah,
so she didn't have the time.
But then she said to me, "You should enter it." Because I was like, "Oh, I might go to a training day." She's like, "No, there's no point going to a training day because you don't know how you're going to ride to do the real thing. So you might as well just enter one. Claire, I think you're going to fail, and just use it as a learning experience."
The advice she gave me was, no one ever passes on their first time. So your first try is a throwaway one. Mm-hmm. You do your first time in as a training to then pass the second time. But again, for my A test, I was kind of toying with the idea, and I was like, "Oh, but I won't pass because I'm not a professional rider, and everyone's a professional rider, so it does, I wouldn't pass anyway. So why bother?" And then I went down to see Cindy Sims in Andover. Cindy is just the most lovely, amazing, wonderful person in the entire world, and was an A test examiner. Mm-hmm. And we went down to pick up a saddle. It was when we just got Piglet, so I went down to pick up a saddle, a dressage saddle, and Mum said, we were talking about me having done my AH, and she was like, "Oh, so you're going to do your A?" And I was like, "Well, no, because I'm not good enough." And she went, "Don't be so ridiculous. Of course you're going to do it." And then I went, "Oh, well, maybe I'll do it, but I've spoken to Claire, I've spoken to this person who says, you know, the first time you do it is a throwaway because no one ever passes on their first time. And Cindy went, don't be so ridiculous. Of course you're going to pass on your first time. And it was just kind of, she said it with such confidence. I was just kind of like, okay. And I was still kind of like, yeah, no, I don't think I'm going to do it. I don't think I'm not good enough. I don't want to do it. And she just kind of went, well, of course you're going to do it. And she said it with such absolute confidence that I went, oh yeah, no, sure. Okay, I'll do it. Yeah, no, of course. Yeah, no, of course I was going to do it. Sure. And it just kind of, every time I've just been press ganged into doing it by people my mum knows. You know what I mean? Every time I feel like I've just been peer pressured into it and just kind of have.
I feel like I overthought it too much.
Yeah, I mean, it's a common theme.
Because it was like, the first time I was like, oh, well, no one ever passes. So in the debrief and they failed me, I was like, cool. And I was like, oh, well, it's only one thing. Like, one thing you failed me on, a few things that I knew I wasn't good enough on. Yeah, fine. And then I went back to do it again. And I failed again. And I was like, oh, but that's the thing you failed me on last time. And I went away and worked on it. And then I wasn't going to take it again. And I just ignored it for like 2 years. And then I went to Nick's and was like, you know what? I'm gonna go do it because I hate leaving things unfinished. Yeah. Like, I'm so annoying like that. If I don't get something, I just do it again and again and again and again and again until I do it.
I'm familiar.
And I went and I was like, right, so this happened last time, so I'm gonna fix this. And then I went to do it, and they were like, oh, but that was fine, but you didn't do this. And I was like,
was that when I was at Nick's as well? And
no,
I messaged. Oh, was that the next time?
That was the one before.
Okay, when I messaged you, I had 2 bottles in the fridge and you just finished, and I messaged you saying, is it champagne or wine? And you went, it's wine.
No, there was one before that.
Okay.
Because I did it, I had a third time, and at that point, Claire was examining me, and she realised it was nerves.
Okay.
So all she came away with was speak to this sports psychologist. So I went to speak to the sports psychologist. And then I took the one that you were there.
Yeah.
And then that was when I was like trying to be all zen. So I had a nap in the car at lunchtime. And they were like, you just weren't with it. And I was like, oh my God! I went from being too tight and too nervous to not being awake enough. It's the story of my life, like one end or the other. There's nothing in the middle. It's like extremes. And then the final time when I passed, I was just like completely over it. And I was like, I've only got to ride 6 horses in the space of, an hour.
It's a good day at work, isn't it?
And I had breaks in between. So I brought podcast admin, sat in a cafe and used Talon's Wi-Fi. And everyone was like, you're not revising. And I was like, well, no. I've got all this free time to fill. I'm better off not thinking about it. I might as well do some work. And they were like, right. And it worked out.
So to all our listeners, we're the reason Alex passed her A test.
Yes.
We're such different people. You put too much thought into it. I really did not put enough thought into it.
But Catherine told me yesterday, my sister Catherine, she said she had a lesson with Nick. And he had a related distance. And she went down it in 7. And he was like, no, you need more canter. Yeah. So she came down and did it in 5. And it was meant to be 6. And he was like, your sister does exactly the same thing. Like, rather than just doing a little bit more, she puts 100% into it. And then it's the other extreme. It must be a family trait. And I was like, oh, whoops.
You do too much thought. Yeah. You do both overthink things really a lot. To the point where I overthink things, but even I'm there like, oh, I hadn't even considered that angle. God, where did that come from?
But on the positive side, it means I'm not so afraid of failure now.
Yeah.
Because I'm very over that. Like, I was talking to someone the other day, and I was like, oh, why aren't you doing this? And they were like, because I'm worried I'm going to fail it.
Yeah.
And like, that doesn't enter my head anymore.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, well, I mean, at the end of the day, if you fail it, you just do it again.
Yeah.
Better.
I was never afraid of that because I always had young horses. So like I was never nervous because if everything went bad, you'd be like, oh well, they're so green and they're so young. They're very we're just getting experience at this level, so it never mattered. If I did badly, didn't matter. If I did well, brilliant. Such a young horse. It just never mattered. I feel like everything just happened to me. I was never really in control of anything until this year. This year was very stressful. This was not nice. Not nice at all.
Now we've given everyone a bit of an overview of what you've been up to. What's in store for the future?
Well, so I am in the process of being very sensible and prioritising my actual work and career. So my lovely, gorgeous babe, my child pony, is off to a friend of ours to compete for the season. So expect lots of updates from her. I mean, it's going to be very strange. Mum, so we had this agreement that, you know, Piglet was going to go away and someone else was going to compete her. And I was just going to be a normal person and not have a horse to be responsible for. Mum slightly keeps finding horses. And we keep maybe we'll get a 2-year-old that can live in a field for a bit. And then we'll still have a horse, but it won't require as much input. But I don't think we are going to do that. But we kind of keep thinking about it. Or maybe we're going to get an off-the-track racehorse. Maybe we'll have a racehorse for a bit. Or maybe we'll get a rescue from Blue Cross and we'll look after it and we'll back it and stuff and then we'll send it back to them. Or, you know, we kind of keep having these musings. But if we don't do that and my horse does just go off and be competed by someone, then I'll be an owner, which is going to be exciting. And I'm also doing my controller test.
Oh,
my
you sorted
controller
that?
training. Well, not fully, but I'm fully signed on and ready. Ooh. So I'm going to be a cross-country controller. So if you hear, hopefully not this voice, hopefully a voice that sounds like my normal voice over some tannoys, I've made it, and I've become a controller. I also want to do. I've got very kind of motivated. I want to be a controller. And then I'd quite like to be a scorer as well, because while I'm already a scorer, I'd quite like to be a head scorer, because no one can really argue with the head scorer. If the head scorer says you're eliminated, then you're eliminated, and you have to go home. I'd quite like that kind of power. I've decided. So that's going to be my year. I'm going to be the most officious official ever.
But don't be like the official at South of England.
Which one?
I'll tell you about that one.
Oh, with
my
your
Spurs straps. So
yes, with ridiculous.
I was competing in the 3-star for the South of England, and when I was on the Dutch team for Worlds, we'd been given these boots sponsored, and they'd given us 2 sets of Spurs straps, and one was navy blue that matched the boots, and one was bright orange because of the Dutch team. Yeah. And I looked down the list of South of England, and it's an international, and I was like, I'm the only Dutch rider. Yeah. I'm going to wear my Spurs straps and be all patriotic, because I don't have an orange tailcoat because I've never actually competed for them properly. Yeah. And so I warmed up in them. I did my test in them, and no one said anything, and as far as I was aware, it was fine. And they got back, and they checked my horse's bit, they checked my horse's sides, and then I was just about to leave, and this woman was hovering. Like, you know when someone wants to say something, but they don't, and I was like, I just said, can I have my passport, please? And she said, yes, and before you go, about your spur straps. And I went all like, rules. I'm not eliminated, am I? I really thought they were fine in the rules, and and she's like, well, they're not technically illegal, but they prefer it if you wear muted colours. It just looks a bit better. And I was like, oh, but I was the only Dutch rider, and I thought it would be...
Hoy, who has that bright turquoise jacket.
I just thought it would be a bit patriotic. And she was like, yes, well, they're more for show jumping, really, aren't they? Not for dressage. Ooh. And I was like, ouch. And then I literally went back to my lawyer, opened the rule book, and was like, there's nothing about spur straps in here.
I would have gone back to her, being like, it's not in the rules, so what are you going to do?
Well, I think that's why she had to say something. She's like, well, technically, it's not in the rules. I know it's not in the rules, but I feel like I have to.
People like that everywhere. Yeah, I'm not going to be like that. Okay. I mean, if you may next time we do the decade challenge in 10 years' time, you might be like, you are like that. Stop it. My plan is to not be like that. My plan is to pretty much I'll be a commentator, but like this. So if someone goes around, I'm going to be like, oh, did you know? So this person who's just gone round, I used to work for them. And it's all going to come out. That's it. Did you know he doesn't pay his working pupils? Did you know? Did you know what his accommodation's like? We had a snail in the shower. Get ready. I expect attendance numbers to go up just for me. And if that doesn't happen, I'm very disappointed. Yeah. What are your plans for the next year?
So I've done the very un-adult thing, and
you're having another gap year.
Yeah, another gap year. And I have just sort of gone into partnership with someone to have a yard where I could take liveries on.
Oh yeah, I was like, oh no, I didn't know that. Okay.
So basically, they rent the yard, and I can have as many horses as there are stables to fit them in.
Perfect.
And pay her a very reasonable amount of money to have that. But I've got to the stage where I'm doing the unprofessionals course, and everyone's kind of got a yard and they've got the horses, and I'm like, so I've sold a horse for not a lot of money. I have one horse that's 16. how do you get more horses when you don't have any money and you don't have any clients?
That's a valid question. It is a very valid question.
And I asked one of them who she was on the European 2-star, the 3-star team now.
Yeah.
And I was like, so how many horses have you got? And she's like, I've got 5. And I was like, how many of them have owners? And she's like, well, only one of them. Well, only really half of one of them because his breeder has kept half of him.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh. So I was like,
Alessia's got 10 like that.
I've got £5,000. What shall I buy with it? And she's like, I would advise you buy a youngster. And I was
Buy
like,
a 2-year-old.
That's what I was thinking. But realistically, said horse probably should be sold quite quickly so that I can make some money on it. So
Buy
I
a
can
2-year-old from a
else.
fancy stud with a good name on it.
Yeah, but if I buy the 2-year-old,
turn it out.
I
Set it
can't
on back
do
as a
anything
3-year-old.
with it for a while.
What you've got to do is you've got, like Alice was saying with Carl, you've got to have a good eye. You've got to buy an ugly 2-year-old. You've got to wait for them to get pretty at 4, sell them on back as a 4-year-old.
I have a good eye. I didn't like my horse and went to try it. I didn't like my horse for 3 tries. And then I came back and went, well, it's all right to hack. And Mum went, good, because the vet's coming tomorrow.
You've got to find a friend with a good eye and then get them to help you buy a horse. Mm-hmm. Or just buy one from buy like the off-cut from a good stud. And then, because it's got the good name on it, you can sell it at 4, back it quickly, sell it at 4 and be like, oh, well, it's, such a raw prospect. But because it has the name, you can shove some pounds on it and then flog it. Flog it before everyone realises it's horrifically untalented. It would be my advice. That's what I would do. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's exciting though. We've got some plans.
It is exciting. I'm at that stage of like, this is either going to go really well or it's going to go horribly wrong.
At least you've not had to put up a lot of money or anything for it.
Yeah, that's where it turned out to be a really good thing because the girl that's taken the yard on, I'd heard a few things about the yard and I actually inquired about it and she'd already got it. Okay. And actually it's nice because I've not got the financial burden of having to pay rent every month for the yard that's not full. Yeah. And she's really lovely and she's all like, oh yeah, you can borrow this if you want and until you're set up, like, you're happy to do this and da-da-da-da. So yeah, and we'll see.
That's so perfect. Mm-hmm. That is so perfect. Oh.
Yeah, and I can jump there, which is an improvement.
Definitely an improvement.
On my last place. Yeah. Yeah. And I've got more storage space and it's all just much nicer.
Perfect. Well, I hope you guys have enjoyed listening to us chat for longer than we were anticipating. Yeah. Shockingly for us.
This is obviously what our meetings are normally like.
Yeah. This is literally what it's like to be around us at any point. If you want to hear more about our other episodes, then they're all on Apple Podcasts and Spotify and wherever, lots of other podcast platforms, which I won't list because Spotify and Apple Podcasts are the main ones. And they are good, promise. They're less rambly, generally, than this was. And you can follow us on Instagram at The Pony Podcast, follow us on Facebook at The Pony Podcast, and if you have any requests for the upcoming year, because we've got lots of fun things planned, if you have any requests or you want to leave us a comment or let us know anything, then email us at theponypod@gmail.com.
And if you use anything we've spoken about in this episode that you want to ask us questions about or want to learn more about, by all means send us a message. Yeah. And make sure you listen to the next one where we'll be going through our episodes that have reached the top 10.
Yay! We have a top 10 episode number. I can't believe we've done that many. Mm-hmm. It just blows my mind. Anyway, thanks so much for listening.
Bye.
Bye.